Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today Colonel Shyam Vijay Simha sir, a Sena Medal. And in this interview, we'll try to understand his experience in the Indian Army for around 23 years, where he was awarded the Sena Medal Gallantry. He's also a paratrooper from the logistics. So in this interview, we'll try to understand his whole journey in the armed forces and various life lessons that he had learned over his service. So thanks a lot, sir, for coming on this interview and welcome.
Thank you so much, Akash. It's a pleasure.
Sir, if you could start telling us, how was your journey before joining the Indian Army, and what was your motivation back then to join the force?
Yeah, my journey before joining Indian Army is just as normal as anybody else's in this country. I am a person, I am born, brought up in Hyderabad, educated in Hyderabad. Once I finished my education, I have written my UPSC and then got selected through the proper channel to Indian Army. This is how it works. My circle, none of them were from Army. Nobody in my family, none of them in my circles were in Army. How did I get motivated? I'm an ardent fan of Chhatrapati Shivaji.
Okay.
So what intrigued me was the way somebody could influence the diaspora of people, wherein whatever he said was followed as if it is a Veda or a sermon from Bible or a Hadith from Quran. Everybody followed it. That's one. Such an inspiring personality. That is number two. Number three is the bravery and courage. Number four is the honesty and the purpose of action with which he has stood for the motherland. Motherland comes first for him, has always come first for him. So these are things which actually inspired me to join Indian Army. I found this service to be the most honest, straightforward, and absolutely in line with whatever my virtues and my values which I have thought for were. That's the reason why I chose to join Indian Army.
Got it, sir. So, sir, you did that after graduation. So was this a serious entry that you went through?
Yeah, I did it after my post-graduation. Yeah, I went through my CDS entry, correct.
Achha, okay. So, sir, if you could also speak about your experience in the SSB back then, and now that you look back, what are the various tips that you would like to give to the aspirants who wants to appear for the SSB?
Yeah, the funniest part is this is the first time I have ever traveled out of my state, getting to the SSB. And even before I started traveling towards SSB, there are people who have given a call to me and offered me coaching, etc. for SSB because I got through the UPSC exam. But then I never found it because firstly, there was no time. And secondly, I never found it that I need to join some institute or something. But once I reached Allahabad was my SSB center.
Okay.
Once I reached Allahabad, I was told at the gate, this is a rejection center. So 50% of people gave up there saying, oh God, this is a rejection center. How will we succeed, move and get through and, then join the training part of the Indian Army. So when I reached Allahabad and we were taken to the SSB center, there are about 62 guys who were split into two batches. We were around 42 or so. We were put in a barrack. And then each one gets his own story. Everybody was sharing his own story. As I said, I never had, nor did I have anybody close to me in my circle who was from Army. There are people in my batch who were in SSB, approximately 50 to 60% of them. Either their father was an Army officer or their uncle was an Army officer. So most of them knew what actually runs in the training as well as in the Army.
Got it.
So here I walked in. And the day started. They started with a lot of tests, a battery of obstacle tests and whatnot. So at the end of the day, when I came back it continued about 2 to 3 days continuously, and the fourth day was the result which was supposed to be disclosed. When I came back on each day back to my barrack, I always used to feel that I have given my best without any inhibitions. I just gave my best, and here I am for a hearty sleep. So I always used to feel that way. And on the fourth day, unfortunately or fortunately, my chest number was 2.
Okay.
So on the fourth day, we were sitting for the results to be announced. And in Army, it is straightforward on your face. Like they will announce that you are selected, you are not selected. Sorry, son, you are not fit for armed forces. So there is no lagging, or there is no drag there. So we were sitting, and I was just thinking in my mind, what if somebody says 3? That means I'm gone, right? I'm not selected. So the officer came onto he was a colonel, he came onto the stage and he started announcing the numbers. Believe you in me, the first 2 numbers just missed my attention. I gotten over the sleep after the 3rd number, and that too when a buddy from back shook me and said, congratulations. The first number was announced, number 2, I didn't even listen to it because I was so engrossed and in my thoughts, what happens, what is going to happen if I don't get selected, etc., etc. So that was my experience in SSB. SSB was tough. Allahabad, of course, was a tough center. But there are a lot of bonds, a lot of things to learn there. Whatever I have been through my life is what they test. So whatever you are comes out absolutely clean as a book to read. So there are no questions of shortcuts, no acting, no enacting, trying to be bossing, or trying to say that I know it, which will not work. This I realized once I cleared the SSB. So this was my SSB journey.
Got it, sir. So just a fact that, I am also going for SSB at Allahabad in July. It is for the army entry. So that's one part of it. So is there any tips that you would like to give to the aspirants who wish to go for the SSB, which you think would help them?
Yeah, absolutely. Be open-minded. Don't go with fixated ideas. Be what you are. When there is a problem or a suggestion or a question asked to you, be absolutely comfortable. They'll make you comfortable. Be absolutely comfortable. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to clear your doubts and do as what you've been doing in your much familiar place, that is in your home. Be absolutely relaxed. Be absolutely open-minded. Try. If you don't know a particular thing, there will be a certain group given to you to carry out a task. If a task is given to you and if you are unable to get to a solution, don't feel shy to take advice. Please ask your course mates or your buddies who are next, another batchmates or whosoever they are. Please ask them for suggestions, take the suggestions, try and implement them and get over it. Right?
Got it, sir.
So be absolutely relaxed and straightforward.
Yeah. So another question related to SSB, also about the officer-like qualities, which is called the OLQs. When we go to SSB, we hear about these 15 OLQs. And since you are a very senior officer, if you could tell us, how do you look at these officer-like qualities and how can one person, develop them so that he eventually gets recommended?
See, how I look at it is there is a spark of these qualities in all of us. So SSB tries to check that spark. Like, say, for example, if I am looking for communication skills in you, that has to be there in you. It can be learned over a period of time, but at this particular age, at that juncture where you are in SSB, the guys look for that quality which is already there in you. So you need to be an orator or a bare minimum communicator. So if you don't have that bare minimum spark, probably you'll not make it. This is one part. Second part is officer-like qualities don't bother much because you are an aspirant. I'm just trying to tell you that. Don't bother much. There are certain qualities embedded in you even without your conscious knowing about it. So those qualities come out once they do this psychology tests, etc. They come out absolutely in open. Like you might be a guy who is much cooperative, maybe. Maybe on a scale of 10, your cooperation may reach 10 to 10, right? But at the same point of time in planning skills or, in communication skills, might be 5. Okay. So it's an overall average which they take and then subsequently select you. That's one. Regarding this OLQs, yes, there is a spark which we need, which they look for. And that spark generally is there in most of us. And how do you fan it? It depends on the experiences you have gone through from your childhood till now.
Got it, sir. So, sir, how was your experience after the SSB when you went to the Officer Training Academy? Any memories that you have from that, which you still cherish?
Yeah. The moment we got selected, we were around, fortunately, we were the biggest number which got selected in one batch from Allahabad. We were 6. And it was all like, we were on cloud nine. That we got through, and I didn't even understand what does this mean. Like, I got selected as an officer for Indian Army, so I thought it was an officer like thing. You there'll be people with garlands. In the moment you enter the academy, they'll welcome you and whatnot, such sort of a thing. But nothing of that sort happened. I walked into this academy called Officers Training Academy.
Okay.
The first and the foremost is, with all pride, I take this opportunity to tell you, this Officers Training Academy, there was the biggest changer in my life. It was one of the best things to happen in my life. And the moment we entered the academy, the entire perspective of life changed. We have started understanding a lot of things which are actually, enhances for your life as a person. Your personality started developing in all fields. And academy honed me, shaped me, and made me whatever I am today. Right, this is one. And the first brush of learnings, which I had, there's so many the brush because you have asked one experience to be narrated. See, there is something called battle physical efficiency test, which is supposed to be conducted on all cadets, on all officers, the gentlemen officers who are training there. So this is the time when it's a very tough run with all your battle rig. You're supposed to come back within some stipulated time, finish that 5-kilometer run. As we all know, Chennai is very hot. There are only 3 seasons: hot, hotter, hottest. And running there with all sweat, etc., was a difficult task. And there is another thing to it. The Officers Training Academy training is about 1 year, and this 1 year is quite a truncated period. People come from IMA after a 1.5 year training, right? There's a little relaxed training there. But here it is all stuffed in one small packet, and you are supposed to be up there. You're supposed to be honing your body, physical and mental fitness within that short span of time. This is where I have learned my best lesson in life, that when we all started running for the battle physical efficiency test, it was a sight to watch for me that my seniors got nothing to do with us. They started running with us, pepping us, boosting our spirits. And I saw my instructors running with us. I saw them putting all their effort so that we pass the test. I saw my course mates pushing the fellow course mates, picking up their rifles and dragging them so that they finish in time. Believe you me, this sort of a camaraderie I've never come across till that day. And this is my first lesson. Come what may, the person or the company in which you have has to win. Your individual win has got no meaning if your company loses. So this is my first, this is one of the best lessons which I've learned, and I still keep it with me. The camaraderie which they showed, the instructor staff, the seniors and my course mates, was amazing. And such wonderful bonds were created over that period of 1 year.
Understood, sir. So if you could also speak about, you told me that you joined Army Service Corps from the OTA. So how was that decision made for you? And also, if you could tell us a journey after ASC for you.
Yeah, see, as I said, I finished my post-graduation and then joined Army. My age was on a higher end. OTA, generally the gentlemen officers are generally on a higher age bracket. Infantry people generally get into infantry with a lower age bracket, say around 21 to 22 or 23 years. When I got commissioned, I was 24.
Okay.
So with that sort of an age, it was always told to me that during the training, it is preferable that you go into an arm or a service, though all of them are one and the same. They are equal at par with each other. So you are supposed to be going into a supporting arm so that it is better suited for your age. So that's how I got into this. That's one. And once I joined ASC, it so happens that the moment you get commissioned into ASC, that's your parent corps, but you're supposed to be doing 3 years infantry attachment with one of the regiments, which I did with Rajputana Rifles. This is where my grooming part actually into Indian Army comes into play, where the unit, I'm so indebted to that. They have groomed me as a gentleman officer and a person to bank upon. From there, it started, took a lot of turns, twists, went around a lot of landscapes, and then came back to ASC to command. And that was my journey as an ASC officer once getting commissioned into ASC. This is how it worked for me.
Got it, sir. So if you could also speak about, as a young officer, you said you went to Rajrif also. How was your first combat experience? Because you were part of infantry for 3 years. If you could.
First and the foremost is I am from South India. Okay. So I had a tough time. Rajrif had a mixture of Jats and Rajputs. Okay. Their Hindi is absolutely different. I was struggling with Hindi even in my academy. When I joined the unit, this was the first step, which I was supposed to learn language. Hindi was a tough task for me. People owned me in Hindi. And as we all know, that every soldier yearns for a combat experience. He is trained in the academy, trained in the unit to face that one day he will be up there fighting for the country, right? So fortunately for me, the doors were wide open. My first posting was in Leh.
Okay.
And that itself was a high altitude, and my battalion was tasked for Glacier, that is Siachen. So that was the highest battlefield. My first battle experience itself was in the highest battlefield. We were supposed to be manning a particular part of Glacier, wherein we were supposed to be overlooking the Pakistan side. And then after that, midway through my Glacier tenure, our battalion was given this opportunity and chance to fight in Kargil. So we were the battalion who went to fight in Kargil Heights. We were supposed to be the most acclimatized troops there. And that was, what else can any soldier ask for than this war experience as a battle experience to start with. That was my first battle experience. Fighting a war in the mountains, which hardly anybody in the world gets now. Mountain warfare, we are supposed to, Indian Army is supposed to be the specialists in mountain warfare. I had this opportunity to fight for the nation in the peaks of Kargil. That was my first battle experience, and it was brilliant. We could see the people, how they support, what is the camaraderie which is between them, the cooperation, the collaboration, the planning aspects, the bravery, the courage, the raw courage which people exhibit in such sort of adversity is worth watching and worth being there. I feel myself to be grateful to God that I had this opportunity to serve with such wonderful brother officers who laid their life for this great nation.
Got it, sir. So just one more query. So is it the same operation for which you were awarded a Sena Medal Gallantry? Or was it
No, I was wounded there. No, I was wounded in Kargil.
Okay.
I was wounded in Kargil. Unfortunately, was grievously wounded. I was hit by splinters. I still have splinters in me.
Okay.
And from there, it was around 100 days of hospitalization, which I went through. There were a lot of operations performed on me. Then I volunteered for the Special Forces unit called 31SF, wherein we were operating in one particular part of Valley against, that is, anti-terrorism operations, counter-terrorism operations, as what we call. In that operation, I was awarded the Sena Medal Guarantee, wherein we killed 3 district commanders of Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Got it, sir. So since you were also a paratrooper, so if you could help us the process of how from ASC you actually can become a paratrooper, and also your first experience when you jumped out of an aircraft.
For any person or any officer, Jawan, JCO of Army, paratrooping is a voluntary thing. Anybody can volunteer to become a paratrooper. So once you volunteer, then the call comes to come and join, do the probation of paras. The moment you clear the probation, you become a paratrooper, right? Now, why did I join and why did I choose paratrooping is the love for that maroon beret. The maroon beret is a universal thing across the world. It's all Army paratroopers generally wear this maroon beret. It is a mark of pride in Indian Army, as well as across all the armies of the world. This is how I volunteered and joined paratrooping. The first jump I vividly remember. See, before the first jump, there are a lot of training which is imparted on you during the probation also, after the probation also, just before the jump. There will be a lot of do's and don'ts told to you. This is how you should jump. This is what you are supposed to be doing. This is the procedure. This is where, how you land. This is the wind speed. Everything, all technical, non-technical things will be told to you. But believe you me, it all looks fine. I mean, on ground, when you start doing everything, it all looks fine. It all looked fine for me. And once I got into the aircraft, and when the doors opened for us to take the leap out, that was the time you generally start the tingling feeling in your stomach. There are a lot of butterflies in your stomach, wherein you start feeling uh, a sort of, insecurity when you start jump. This is a static line jump, so obviously there is a line which pulls your parachute, and you generally say this is one of the safest jumps you can ever think of. But my first jump, yes, I had a little bit of what do you call, uncertainty running in my stomach, maybe. But then once I took off and then landed in one piece, that is what runs in your mind. You should land one piece down without getting broken. So once I landed down, that's the time, that elated feeling, I was overwhelmed by that elated feeling, wherein I said, okay, fine, this can be achieved. That's one great thing which, that first jump I never forget. It's wonderful. But to say that for a paratrooper, every next jump is almost equivalent to the first jump. Every jump comes with the same uncertainty. Every jump comes with same problems. Every jump comes with same sort of fears and insecurities surrounded with that jump.
Understood, sir. Sir, if you could also speak about, any experience from the probation time which you still remember, which you would like to share.
There's so many. Probation is one thing which actually, see, it is like a voluntary thing, right? You volunteer for it. Nobody has asked you to come and join paratrooping, right? That's one. Second thing is, when you volunteer for paratroop regiment or being a part of paratroopers, the most important thing one needs to understand is the amount of whatever is thrown at you, bricks, bats, roses, garlands, whatever is thrown at you. How best can you make use of them? How best can you absorb these things? Each minute, the paratrooping or the probation tests your very basic ethics and values, your very basic nature as a person. How patient are you? How perseverant are you? There are times in probation where you cannot even reach the goal which is set to you. But are you ready and willing to bounce back from that? How strong can you go? How much more can you take? All such things are tested in paratrooping. So probation is one part which is tested, not me. There are thousands of people who have done it. Thousands of people will be doing now. Test your absolute patience, perseverance, how much you can take. Every day is a breaking day. You fight for every minute to complete that probation. Each minute counts. And the next moment, probably they will say, son, you are not fit. It might so happen that way also. And next moment, it may also happen this way, that you break your will and say, sorry, sir, I will not be able to continue. Both ways. And you are subjected to intense physical training, intense testing of your mental abilities, and intense testing of your social abilities, cooperation. A lot of things are tested there. I will not go into the details of what is tested. So once you reach up to the levels and the marks which is set by the probation standard, I think then you will make it to probation. Probation is one thing which brings people together. It's a voluntary thing, as I said, and being a voluntary thing actually infused that confidence in me that I have asked for it. Nobody has pressurized or asked me to come and join. So I have asked for it. So when I asked for it, so there is a need for me to stand up and deliver. So that's how I walked in. Right?
Understood, sir. So if you could also briefly tell us, so once you became a paratrooper and then you go back to the AC, so then how does your routine looks like in terms of, responsibilities and role? How does that look? Any idea?
No, it is similar to any of the officer in ASC. Once you get back, it is similar to any of the officer in ASC. The only thing is you have the distinction of wearing a
Okay.
maroon beret. And how do you chart out your course is up to you. Like physical fitness, you chart out your course. Take your basically any officer in Indian Army is supposed to infuse motivation and inspiration in the men he leads, right?
Hmm.
Whether you're a paratrooper or a non-paratrooper doesn't make much of a difference. So each officer has got set goals, but the basic bane or the basic structure which we look at is inspiring and motivating your team. That remains the same. And apart from these two, the rest of the duties which are allocated or the tasks which you are supposed to be carrying out are all similar to the other logistics and service officers.
Understood, sir. So if you could also speak about, what was your favorite weapon back then when you were in combat?
Yeah, my favorite, I still watch by AK because I was so glued to it. But now I found AK is one weapon which I loved a lot. Galil is another one which I love a lot. Apart from this, the lifesaver of our teams, my teams and my squads when I was operating with 31 was rocket launcher.
Okay.
RL, which we call. This is one weapon which actually saved, not me, many such lives of troops. So these are the three weapons I put together.
Understood, sir. So since you have
And of
served
course,
around,
of course, my dad. Yeah.
Got it, sir. So since you have served around, 2 decades in the Indian Army, if I can ask you any 3 life lessons that you have learned from your service, which you would like to share with the audience, what would they be?
Life lessons. There are so many life lessons. Indian Army is full of lessons. There's so many life lessons, but I'll share few of them with you. First and the foremost is discipline. It teaches you how to be organized. That becomes a part of your life. So even after quitting army or even after moving out of army, you still continue to be the same guy. You wake up at a particular time, you organize all your day, each hour, each moment you plan before even going to that task. You break the task into normal, doable pieces and then reach each piece at one particular point of time as set by you. That's one. Second thing is it teaches perseverance. Tremendous amount of perseverance. How to take things, how to actually behold a particular thing and then continue marching ahead without looking back. It teaches you a spirit of never give up, never ever give up. It teaches you resilience. If you are down, your chips are down, which has happened with me n number of times, how you bounce back and how strongly you bounce back is what it teaches. It teaches never back down. Then it teaches warrior mindset, the courage and conviction in yourself and your team, the trustworthiness you develop in gelling your team and moving them towards achieving a task is wonderful. And above all this, what I've learned the best and still which I put to practice is the Chetwood Credo, which says the country or the nation comes first always and every time. I follow this to my grave. I carry this words till my grave. The country comes first always and every time. The men you command or the men with you come second always and every time. Your comfort and you yourself are the last always and every time. Such a wonderful quote and a wonderful saying which each army officer of Indian Army follows. So does I. This has taught me a lot of things. It has taught me to be grounded. Be a person with your men, lead, walk the talk, always be the first to execute a particular task so that you set an example. So these are the things which I've learned, and there are many. I can write a book on this.
Understood, sir. Sir, I have one more question. Since you were also a commanding officer, I have a question, how do you look at leadership? And, how was your experience as a CEO of a unit?
Leadership is one thing which sets you apart from the rest of the crowd. That's one thing. Now, how do you term leadership or how you define leadership? There are certain traits which call circumstantial leadership, wherein the circumstance demands and one person from the group walks ahead and leads the pack. That is circumstantial leadership. The second trait, second sort of a thing is a leader who has been honed, trained, and this he has achieved with a tremendous amount of knowledge, training, learning over a period of time, and then has that prowess to lead his men to success without losing them, particularly in army, without losing them in the battlefield, right? There are two sort of things which I define. Now, leadership to me is being a people's person, being with them, being empathetic, being a person who can be trustworthy, being a person who's there for his team, being a person who stands with his team whenever they require, being a person who is completely self-aware. You know what you are, you understood what you are, you have this power of executing things because you know this is your capability. Probably you are asking for a little more. Leader is a person who walks one step ahead of his team. He is ready to take calculated risks. He is open for anything, for any change. So being open-minded, being cooperative, being grounded, being a people's person, you can name a thing. There are a lot of other traits which leadership encompasses. Now, being a CEO, how did I do this? I followed most of these traits. I tried to be collaborative. I inculcated a sense of responsibility, the sense of acceptance to change, the sense of being a people's person or the team's man, and then trying to guide guys, show the direction in which they're supposed to be, and letting them achieve, being an achiever in their own arena, encouraging people, motivating them, which all comes together in a nutshell for a leader in armed forces. So that's how I commanded my troops.
Understood, sir. So my final question to you would be, since a lot of aspirants will be watching this, so what will be your message to all of them who wants to join the forces?
Join the forces is be true to yourself, be honest, be absolutely straightforward. As I said, nation comes first, come what may. Keep nation as paramount, and rest everything can come next. Be willing to do, this is an emergency service sort of a thing. It's 24 hours, it's a service to the nation. Army is a service to the nation. So be ready for any task or anything which is asked from you. Be open to change. There will be a lot of change in your life to join army. So be open to change, be patient, be a learner for life. Every day is a new learning in army. So be a learner for life, learn things, put them in right perspective, change yourself, adapt faster, and then progress. This is for the person who is willing to join army, who wants to be there and do things. And for the SSB guy, a person who wants to enter SSB and crack it, go there with absolute open mind, be absolutely straightforward, don't lie, be honest, and state things as what you know. If you don't know, say no, I don't know it, sir. Try and hone your skills of speaking, and I think that should sail you through in the SSB.
Understood, sir. Sir, thanks a lot, sir, for your time on this session. And I hope a lot of people who will hear you speaking about your journey will get a perspective about the life you can live from ASC to becoming paratrooper and various combat experience that you will get. So thanks a lot, sir, for your time on this session. Jai Hind, sir.
Thank you so much, Akash. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.